Good morning, everyone. Today we're working with KM02, Knowledge Topic 2, General Standards of Housekeeping in the Receiving and Dispatch Environment. When I say housekeeping, I'm not talking about cleaning for the sake of cleaning. In a warehouse and back-of-house environment, housekeeping is a control system. It controls how we move, where we place stock, how we prevent damages, how we keep inventory accurate, and how we keep people safe. So as we go through this session, I want you to think like a professional receiving and dispatch clerk. Every clean, organized action you take is protecting stock, protecting people, and protecting the business. Before we start, I want you to understand the assessment link. In KM02, KT02 counts towards your knowledge assessment, and it is a big driver of practical performance. If you can explain housekeeping standards, and you can explain the impact of housekeeping on accuracy, damages, shrinkage, safety, and pest control, you are already preparing yourself for the formative and summative assessments. Let's start by clarifying our learning outcomes for KT2 and what you must be able to explain in an assessment. By the end of the session, you must be able to confidently explain the following outcomes in your own words using examples from a receiving and dispatch environment. 1. Explain the generic housekeeping standards required in a receiving and dispatch department. This means you can describe what good housekeeping looks like in practice: cleanliness, organization, labeling, safe walkways, correct storage, waste control, and routine checks. 2. Explain how an untidy work area can impact on the ability to receive and dispatch stock accurately. This means you can link mess and disorder directly to wrong counts, wrong items, wrong locations, delays, and documentation errors. 3. Explain how an untidy work area can impact on damages, shrinkage, and safety. This means you can show how poor housekeeping causes product damage, creates losses, increases theft opportunities, and increases accidents and injuries. 4. Explain how an untidy work area can encourage the presence of vermin, pests, and how they impact on the business. This means you can describe how pests are attracted and what they damage stock, packaging, equipment, compliance, and reputation. Now that you know what you must achieve, we begin with KT0201, what housekeeping is and the standards required in receiving and dispatch. Housekeeping refers to the systematic and organized management of cleanliness, orderliness, and overall maintenance in a work area. In receiving and dispatch, housekeeping is not a once-off event. It is a daily discipline. It includes cleaning, tidying, removing clutter, controlling waste, maintaining equipment, and ensuring the work area stays safe and efficient for stock movement. Think of the receiving and dispatch department as a high traffic zone. Goods are moving in, goods are moving out. People, equipment, and paperwork are moving continuously. If housekeeping is poor, the department becomes a risk area. Items get lost, damages increase, paperwork goes missing, and accidents happen. So the standard we set for housekeeping must match the risk level of the environment. I'm going to take you through the key standards of housekeeping required in receiving and dispatch. As I explain each standard, picture your own workplace and ask yourself, what does this look like in our receiving bay, our dispatch lanes, our storage areas, our staging area, and our returns area? 1. Cleanliness, daily routine. This means floors are swept and mopped where required. Dust is controlled on racks and shelves, and surfaces are wiped down. In a clean environment, it is easier to see spills, breakages, and hazards, and it is easier to prevent contamination of goods too. Spill control, immediate action. When there is a spill, we do not leave it for later. We isolate the area, clean it immediately, and use warning signage. Spills are a major cause of slips and falls, and they can damage cartons, labels, and stock. 3. Organization and layout. Everything has a place. The receiving area must have designated zones. An offloading zone, an inspection zone, a quarantine, hold zone for damaged or disputed items, and a put-away staging zone. Dispatch must have clear pick, pack, check, and load zones. Organization reduces confusion and prevents mix-ups. 4. Clear walkways and access. No obstruction. A safe aisle is a clear aisle. Pallets, cages, cartons, and waste must never block walkways, emergency exits, fire equipment, or loading ramps. Obstructions slow down work and increase accidents. 1. Correct storage and stacking prevent falls and crush damage. Goods must be stored on appropriate racking or pallets within weight limits and stacked in a stable manner. Heavy items go lower. Fragile items are protected. And nothing must be stacked in a way that can topple or collapse. 2. Labeling and signage information must be visible. Locations, lanes, quarantine areas, returns areas, and hazardous zones must be clearly labeled. Stock must be labeled so that it can be identified quickly, reducing picking and put-away mistakes. 3. Waste and packaging control. Remove clutter. Cardboard, shrink wrap, damaged pallets, and waste must be removed regularly. Clutter creates hiding places for pests, increases fire risk, and makes it difficult to see missing stock or damages. 4. Equipment care and maintenance tools must be safe. Handheld scanners, pallet jacks, forklifts, ladders, and weighing scales must be maintained and stored correctly. Damaged equipment is a safety risk and causes operational errors. 5. Routine inspections and reporting find problems early. Housekeeping includes regular checks, floor condition, racking condition, lighting, signage, fire equipment access, and cleanliness. When something is wrong, it must be reported and fixed before it becomes a bigger incident. 6. Personal responsibility and PPE. Every person owns the standard. Housekeeping is not someone else's job. Every worker is responsible for keeping their area clean and safe, and for using PPE where required safety shoes, gloves, reflective vests, and any site-specific PPE. Notice what these standards have in common. They support accuracy, efficiency, safety, and control. Housekeeping is the foundation. If housekeeping is weak, everything built on top of it becomes unstable, especially receiving accuracy and dispatch accuracy. Now we move to KT02, how housekeeping directly affects accurate receiving and dispatching. This is where we connect cleanliness and organization to inventory accuracy and customer service. Housekeeping practices play a crucial role in accurate receiving and dispatching. Accuracy in this environment means the right item, the right quantity, the right condition, and the right documentation at the right time. A well-maintained and organized work area supports accuracy because it reduces confusion and creates clear control points. In receiving, accuracy starts the moment the vehicle arrives at the receiving bay. If the receiving area is messy, crowded, or poorly organized, I can already predict mistakes. Cartons get mixed, items get placed in the wrong zone, and documents get lost. Good housekeeping creates a clean receiving workflow. Offload, then inspect, then count, then record, then label, then stage, and lastly put away. 1. Clear designated space for incoming stock. When incoming stock has a defined area, we can separate deliveries by supplier, by purchase order, or by delivery time. This prevents mixing items from different deliveries and reduces counting errors. 2. Clean inspection surfaces and tools. If tables, scales, measuring tools, and scanners are clean and available, we can inspect and record correctly. Dirty surfaces can hide damages, contaminate packaging, or cause labels not to stick properly. 3. Visible documentation and controlled paperwork flow. A tidy receiving area supports accurate cross-checking of delivery notes, purchase orders, and goods received notes. When paperwork is scattered, errors and disputes increase. 4. Proper segregation of damaged, short, or questionable goods. A clear quarantine hold area allows us to isolate goods that must not be accepted into stock until resolved. Without this, disputed items can be mistakenly put away, creating stock count problems later. 5. Prompt put away and correct location labeling. Housekeeping supports accurate put away by keeping aisles clear, locations labeled, and storage ready. When put away is delayed because the area is cluttered, stock sits in staging and disappears or gets misallocated. In dispatch, accuracy is judged by the customer. The customer does not care that the warehouse was busy. They care that the order is correct. A tidy, organized dispatch area supports accuracy through clear picking routes, clear staging lanes, and controlled packing and checking. 1. Organized storage and clear locations reduce picking errors. When items are stored logically and locations are labeled, pickers can find the correct item quickly and confirm it easily. When aisles are cluttered or stock is placed randomly, wrong picking increases. 2. Clean packing stations prevent wrong labeling and mixed orders. A packing station must be clear of old labels, mixed cartons, and unrelated items. If the station is messy, labels get stuck on the wrong carton, and orders get mixed. 3. Clear segregation of orders in staging lanes. Dispatch lanes should be labeled by route, customer, or delivery time. When staging is messy, one customer's stock can be loaded onto another customer's vehicle. 4. Safe, clear loading area prevents last-minute errors. If the loading area is blocked or confusing, loading becomes rushed. Rush loading creates mistakes. Wrong quantity, wrong pallet, missing documentation. 5. Documentation control supports accurate dispatch recording. Dispatch notes, picking slips, and proof of delivery must be handled in a controlled way. Housekeeping includes keeping these documents together, clean and complete, so the dispatch record matches what physically left the warehouse. So, if you ever hear someone say, housekeeping is not important, we must just work faster, you must know that this is a risky mindset. Speed without housekeeping creates inaccurate receiving and dispatching, and inaccurate operations always cost more time later through rework, complaints, and investigations. Now we move to KT0203, how poor housekeeping leads to damages, shrinkage, and safety incidents. This is where housekeeping becomes a direct financial and legal risk. Poor housekeeping affects 3 big areas at the same time: damages, shrinkage, and safety. These are linked. When the area is cluttered and uncontrolled, goods get damaged, losses increase, and accidents become more likely. I'm going to break each one down so you can explain it clearly in an assessment. A. Impact of housekeeping on damages 1. Reduced clutter prevents bumps, falls, and crush damage. When aisles are clear and pallets are positioned correctly, goods are less likely to be knocked over, crushed by equipment, or damaged by accidental impacts. 2. Correct stacking and storage prevents collapsing loads. Housekeeping standards require stable stacking, correct pallet condition, and correct racking use. Poor stacking leads to toppled pallets, crushed cartons, and broken goods. 3. Clean, organized receiving prevents hidden damage. If the receiving area is clean and inspections are done in a controlled space, damages are identified early before goods enter stock. In messy areas, damages are missed and damaged stock is later dispatched to customers. 4. Orderly packing protects goods during dispatch. A clean packing station supports correct protective packaging. When stations are messy, staff rush, cartons are overfilled or underprotected, and goods break in transit. Shrinkage is the gap between what the system says we have and what we physically have. Poor housekeeping increases shrinkage because it creates opportunities for stock to be misplaced, mixed, stolen, or written off as missing. 1. Misplaced stock becomes lost stock. When there are no clear zones and no discipline, stock gets left in random corners, behind pallets, or on wrong racks. Later, when we can't find it, we treat it as shrinkage. 2. Messy areas increase theft opportunities. Clutter creates blind spots and hiding places. When the area is disorganized, it becomes easier for someone to remove stock unnoticed or to hide stock temporarily for later theft. And 3. Damaged goods increase write-offs. When housekeeping is poor, damages increase, and damaged goods are often written off. Write-offs reduce stock value and increase losses. 4. Poor record control increases paper shrinkage. When documents and system updates are delayed because the area is chaotic, we get recording errors, stock received but not recorded, stock dispatched but not deducted, creating discrepancies that look like shrinkage. Safety is non-negotiable. A receiving and dispatch department contains heavy loads, moving equipment, and high traffic movement. Poor housekeeping turns normal tasks into hazards. 1. Slip and trip hazards increase. Spills, loose shrink wrap, straps, and scattered packaging cause slips and trips. A simple fall can cause serious injury and lost work time. 2. Blocked walkways and exits create emergency risk. In an emergency, people must exit quickly and safely. If exits are blocked by pallets or waste, this becomes life-threatening and creates legal exposure for the company. 3. Falling objects and unstable stacks cause crash injuries. Poor stacking and damaged racking can lead to falling cartons or collapsing pallets. This can injure staff and damage stock at the same time. 4. Equipment accidents increase. Forklifts and pallet jacks require clear space and visibility. Cluttered aisles increase collision risk, damage to racking, and injury to pedestrians. 5. Non-compliance with safety rules leads to disciplinary and legal consequences. If housekeeping standards are ignored, the organization risks failing audits, receiving fines, and dealing with compensation claims. At this point, I want you to connect the dots. Housekeeping is not extra work. It is the work because it prevents the big costs, damages, shrinkage, and injuries. Now we move to KT0204, how poor housekeeping attracts pests and vermin, and why that is a major business risk in receiving and dispatch. An untidy work area can encourage the presence of vermin and pests. In receiving and dispatch, pests are not only a hygiene issue, they are a stock protection issue, a compliance issue, and a reputation issue. Warehouses can attract pests because of food residues, packaging materials, warm spaces, and hiding places created by clutter. How poor housekeeping attracts pests includes 1. Food residue and spills provide food sources. Even small crumbs, sugar, or liquids can attract insects and rodents. In some warehouses, staff eat in work areas. If that happens, housekeeping must be even tighter. 2. Standing water provides moisture. Leaks, puddles, and wet waste areas create the moisture pests need. Moist areas also lead to mold, which damages packaging and stock. And 3. Clutter creates hiding and nesting spaces. Pests prefer undisturbed, hidden spaces. Piles of cardboard, unused pallets, broken equipment, and messy corners become perfect shelters. 4. Poor waste disposal increases infestation risk. Overflowing bins, open waste, or waste stored inside too long attracts pests quickly, especially rodents, flies, and cockroaches. 1. Property and infrastructure damage. Rodents chew wiring, insulation, and packaging, causing costly repairs and even fire risks. 2. Contamination risk. Pests carry bacteria and diseases. If stock or packaging is contaminated, goods may need to be destroyed and customers may be put at risk. 3. Inventory loss and shrinkage. Pests damage stock and packaging, making goods unsellable. This results in direct stock losses and write-offs. 4. Regulatory and audit failures. Many industries require evidence of pest control and hygiene. Poor housekeeping can lead to non-compliance, fines, and reputational damage. 5. Customer trust and brand damage. If a customer receives contaminated goods or hears of pest issues, trust drops immediately. In competitive markets, reputation is difficult to rebuild. 6. Employee morale and well-being. People do not work confidently in unsafe, dirty environments. Pest issues make staff feel unsafe and demotivated, and this affects performance. So in practice, pest control is not only about calling a pest company. It starts with housekeeping, keeping the environment clean, removing food sources, removing hiding places, and controlling waste. When housekeeping is strong, pest control becomes easier and cheaper. We have covered all KT02 outcomes. Now we bring everything together with practical application, examples, and assessment preparation so you can answer questions confidently. Now, I want to link this topic to what you do every day in receiving and dispatch. I want you to imagine a normal shift. A truck arrives, we offload, we inspect, we record, we put away, and later we pick and dispatch orders. In every step, housekeeping either supports us or works against us. Here is a quick scenario. Walk through what good housekeeping looks like. 1. Receiving bay ready before the truck arrives. The floor is clear, the offloading zone is marked, equipment is available, and paperwork is prepared. This prevents rush and confusion at the arrival point. 2. Offloading is controlled and goods are kept together. Each supplier delivery is kept separate and clearly staged so counting and checking can be done accurately. 3. Inspection area is clean and quiet. We can see damages, read labels, scan items, and complete documents without distractions and clutter. 4. Damaged or disputed items go straight to quarantine. Hold. Nothing questionable enters normal stock until the discrepancy is resolved and recorded correctly. 5. Put away happens promptly and locations are clear. Stock does not sit in random places. The longer stock sits in staging, the higher the risk of loss or misplacement. 6. Dispatch packing stations are clean. No old labels, no mixed cartons, and protective packaging is used correctly to prevent damage in transit. 7. Staging lanes are labeled and orders are separated. This prevents cross-loading and supports correct proof of delivery documentation. In your assessments, you are often asked to describe or explain impacts. A strong answer always has 3 parts. 1. The concept. 2. The practical warehouse example. And 3. The business impact. I'm going to model that for you. A. Housekeeping standard. Housekeeping includes keeping walkways clear and storage organized. Example: if pallets are left in aisles, forklifts must take unsafe routes. Business impact. This causes delays, higher accident risk, and possible product damage. B. Accuracy impact. Untidy areas increase picking and recording errors. Example: if returns are mixed with new stock, wrong goods can be dispatched. Business impact. This leads to customer complaints, credits, and incorrect inventory. C. Damages. Shrinkage impact. Clutter. Increases damage and losses. Example: cartons stored on wet floors become damaged and written off. Business impact. This increases shrinkage and reduces profitability. D. Pest impact. Concept. Poor waste control attracts pests. Example: open waste bins and cardboard stacks attract rodents. Business impact. This contaminates stock, causes compliance failures, and damages reputation. If you answer like this concept, the example, impact, you are showing the assessor that you understand the topic in the context of real work. That's exactly what this qualification requires. Let's close by summarizing the key message. Housekeeping is a professional standard in receiving and dispatch. It creates a clean, organized, and controlled environment where stock can be received and dispatched accurately. When housekeeping is poor, we see immediate operational problems: errors, delays, damages, shrinkage, accidents, and pest risks. When housekeeping is strong, we protect people, protect stock, and protect the reputation and profitability of the business. Before our next topic, I want you to review your own work area in your mind and identify at least 3 housekeeping improvements you would implement immediately. Now remember, a standard only becomes real when it is turned into habits and routines. In receiving and dispatch, housekeeping must be built into the workflow, not added on at the end. If we wait until the end of the day to clean, the day has already carried risk. A spill may have caused an injury, clutter may have caused a picking error, or waste may have attracted pests. So I want you to think in terms of clean as you go and place everything back where it belongs. To make this practical, I'm going to break housekeeping into the key control areas you will see in almost every receiving and dispatch department. When you understand these control areas, you can walk into any warehouse and quickly judge whether housekeeping is strong or weak. That is how you move from theory to practice, and that is how you prepare for your assessments. I want to end with one professional mindset. Housekeeping is part of your identity as a receiving and dispatch clerk. When you walk into a department and you keep it clean, organized, and controlled, you are demonstrating competence. That competence shows in accurate receiving, accurate dispatch, fewer damages, lower shrinkage, and a safer work environment. That is what we are building in this program. Goodbye. See you in the next session.